Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Braw Cast, a brand new season kicking off here, right in the Halloween spirit. My name's Billy Kirkwood. I'm your host, although I'm sure I've made many other mistakes. Let me explain if this is your first time ever tuning into Broadcast. We get to talk to weird and wonderful individuals from all around the world, from musicians, actors. We've had pro wrestlers, we have MMA fighter, ninja warriors, and all in between. What we do is we get to learn a little bit about them, their journey through life, and we have ourselves a bit of fun. And don't forget, of course, the show is brought to you by those sexy MFers. I'm trying not to swear, although it's probably going to happen because Facebook doesn't like it when you swear and all that. Damn those algorithms or whatever they're called. I think I've got an anti-code algorithm. Right. Of course, it's brought to you by Braw Beard Oils. Head over, check out some of the cool stuff they've got going. And if you are going to order before Halloween, you can get a Bob sticker. That's right. A free Bob the Zombie sticker with each and every order until midnight. You can't buy them. I think they're pretty cool, and they look a wee bit like JJ that runs the company. So, before we go any further, don't forget to check out all the socials and archive episodes that you can get over at Spotify, including the individuals where it's just riffing with me and Tosh, or me and JJ, or me and Heather. But of course, we're going to sit down and talk to our guest today. I'm very excited to talk to this guest. As a comedian, I've only got to work with him a few times, but I've been a big fan of his from afar. And listen, we're going to get in about it. So please, would you welcome the list voiceover artist, comedian extraordinaire, writer, and everything in between. Please would you welcome the wonderful Mr. Cal Halbert to the show. Oh, I knew I was going to get it on side.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Billy. How are you, my man?
I am very, very well, Cal. It's awesome to get you on the show. We were just, before we started, we were talking about our home setups here.
Yeah.
It was, but mine was born out of COVID, really. Although it's kind of grew legs, and the worst thing is, I'm moving house at the start of next year, so this is all coming down. It's all coming down.
Don't. This is very much a workshopped setup at the moment because I moved house. Basically, Long story short, we were living in a place. I live in Newcastle upon Tyne. We were living in a place. We were told we needed to move out by the 19th of August. I was at the Fringe, so we moved the majority of our stuff into my office before I went up to the Fringe, then came back on my day off on the 14th, moved the rest into here, and then did the second half of the Fringe. And then, I look, everything's unpacked of what it will be unpacked. There are boxes that will stay there until we move again. Let's put it that way. That's what's happening.
You're still catching up, man. You're still catching up. That's fair. The worst thing is, I'm saying that looking at a box of flyers, which is from last year's Fringe, which are literally just over there. Clearly, that was one of those jobs. Jesus has said that. I caught them, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I clearly just went, "That's a job for another day."
Yeah,
don't worry about it.
Can't wait to look at them with I don't know, rose tinted glasses. Going, "Oh, that was a festival. I didn't sell enough tickets. Oh, I wonder why. They're all there." That's why.
Well, one year, I hilariously had, despite the fact it went through proofreadings from the designers, it went through proofreadings from the printers. Bang! There is my flyer with the wrong bloody time on it. The wrong time on it. So I had to go through every single one until the new box arrived. So such is the exciting admin life of a stand-up comedian. That's what it. That's, do you know, we keep making these TV series and green room podcasts and what have you, but you know what it is? The excitement's in the admin. I don't know why.
It really is. It really is. You must get this, Billy, where people say to you, I tell you what, green rooms must be a right laugh. You go, they're not. It's mainly talking about roadworks. That's usually what the green rooms are. It is.
And
which way did you come? That's all it is.
Which way did you come? Have you recently been? What's your favorite services?
That's a good one.
What's the one that people always say? Is it T-Bay? Is it? Oh, did you stop at
T-Bay? One. Did
you stop at T-Bay services? Oh yes, I stopped. Yeah. I mean, the macaroni's fantastic, and you've got to go to the farm shop. Well,
the Weatherby's a good one, but I never normally go into the main services. I normally just do the garage. That's
good move.
The garage has got everything I need.
And I got to say, good move. High baller move. You don't go in, because I always think that some services, particularly at a certain time of night, are just like a hub of sadness. Like, you don't need to go in it. These stains, these things wiped up the walls. You go, that's where people are meant to be. People are meant to stand. That's clearly Worcestershire sauce that someone has just spaffed up the wall. And
the only thing that's open is W.H. Smith and the Bandits for some reason. I don't know why they've got gambling bandits. I don't know why. No idea.
There's one guy sitting on a stool playing them, and you go like, there's no cars outside. How did he get here? How did he get here?
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Like, it clearly doesn't work here, or does he? And he just finishes a shift, goes in the Bandits, and goes back on shift again. I'm always just worried that is the next generation of serial killers waiting in Branson for us. Cal, there's so much we're going to talk about. We talked in the Fringe this year. You had probably one of the most unique experiences. Not only did you have a move in the middle of it, but you were bringing up a brand new show, which we've got to talk about. It's fantastic. But as well as that, there's a big accommodation problem. This is the exciting admin side of it, folks, just in case you're wondering. There's big accommodation problems this year because basically Edinburgh seems to have a flurry of venues, but nowhere for people to stay when they turn up at the city. And you had one of the most unique workarounds to that I think I've ever seen, and it's probably going to be the way it's done now. Tell us, what did you do at the Fringe this year?
I camped for the whole month. I lived in my 4-man tent for the whole month. And do you know what? I would advise it to absolutely anybody, Billy.
Really?
Honestly, when I've told people I camped, lived in a tent for a month. So not only did I move house, I went back from moving house to a tent, an airbed, fabulous. But there were a few moments where you go, oh God, I just want to go for a wee in my underpants. Like, just go, you can't. Like, it's you wake up and you're desperate for a pee, and you're like, oh, I've got to put clothes on. And you're in Edinburgh, so you have to wear about 8 layers to go to the toilet. Do you know what I mean? But ultimately, every time I've told people that I've gone, I was camping, they're like, what? I said, no, it's not like Glastonbury. It was on a proper campsite. Yeah. And it was like, so it had a bar on site, it had a full cafe on site, it had shower blocks, it had Wi-Fi. I could get Wi-Fi in my tent. Like, it was ludicrous. Like, honestly,
there were better than most flats you get at the festival.
I know that the facilities in my tent were better than the new flat because we hadn't set anything up yet. So I left my partner to sort all that out while I had full Wi-Fi, shower, everything was working at my tent. But yeah, it was a total workaround. Now, we've got a mutual friend in Lee Kyle, another very funny stand-up comedian.
Excellent.
And he's camped a couple of times. And last year, so the show I took up this year was called Calcholic, How Alcohol Ruined My Life, because I'm an alcoholic, and my name's Cal. So I just kind of smushed the names together. Very clever. If you like wordplay, it's for you. If you don't, so I. And actually, what day is it today? It is the 26th. I don't know when this goes out, but on the 30th of October, so on this Monday, I will be 2 years sober. Won't have had a drink for 2 years. So what I did was, not this year, but last year, I went up to the Fringe just for about 10 days. And I camped just to see if I could be in the Fringe environment, not drinking. And I thought, rather than remortgaging to stay in a flat for 10 days in Edinburgh, I thought, well, if I camp, if it's too much, I'll just go back, pack up and leave. Do you know? And that was what my plan was. And it was absolutely fine. I thought, I could easily do this for a month. Happy days. So that's what I did. And I hugely recommend it to everybody. Although, despite going to the festival since 2011, that on the first night, I was lying in my tent and all the fireworks went off for the tattoo. And I'd prop up. I was like, what the hell is that? I didn't know what it was, because I was staying at Morton Hall, and Morton Hall is towards the crematorium. So if anyone knows Edinburgh's there, it's towards the crematorium. So I'm lying there and I'm hearing all these bangs and like whistles and all this sort of stuff. And I go out thinking, bloody hell, they get rid of people really glamorously in Edinburgh. What the hell's going on? And they went, oh, it's a tattoo, you idiot. It's like the tattoo that happens, and you come here every year. You've been here for nearly 12, 13 years, nearly 15 years you've been coming here, and that did not click instantaneously. But once you work that out, you're fine. Do the impressions set as a warm up, and then break, and then the hour show, which is just stand up. So like anybody that's like come to see you and they see the stuff that I do online and things, it's 99% of the time it's impressions. So if they come to a show and they're going, oh well, this is just a story about how your life fell apart. You go, yeah, that is in the title. You know,
it's all there. It's pretty much all there. I get, because I'm very improvisational and very sort of high energy when I'm doing stand up, and I just want everyone to have a good time. That sometimes when I'll try and do those little dark shifts or what have you, and again it's like, oh, you're all sweetness and light. It's like, no, I'm not. I don't even pretend, but I'm weird as fuck, but I like to sneak it in. It's what I do is I sandwich it between two bits that are relatively all right, and then it's like hang on, what was that a bit of like kind of body horror in the middle of it? No, ignore that. Just look at the monkey. Just look at the monkey, we're all good. You know, and I quite like the you know, you get the sweetness and light, but they do go, but you'll get people on the other side of the spectrum that go, well, you know, I saw the show, it wasn't really my cup of tea, and part of you goes like, what about the advertising? What about everything you saw that made you think? Like, what would someone go buy Die Hard and go, I thought it was going to be about the construction of the towers, personally. Who are these people, Cal? Who are these people?
It is mad, isn't it? It is totally mad. And like, because this year I did 2 shows. So I did the stand with Calcholic, and then I thought, while I'm up there, I'll do an impressions show. But it was kind of like just a chuck in of everything that I had. And that was on the free, and that was called 100 Impressions of People I've Met. And I just did as many impressions of people of all over, of celebrities and club comics and stuff that people wouldn't know. And someone came up to me after the show and went, oh, I didn't realize it'd be all impressions. And you go, well, the show is 100 impressions of people I've met. And right at the start, I do say I'm going to run through as many impressions as I possibly can. I do understand if, like, I get it, like, but I wasn't going to do a whole show about impressions and only do 10 minutes of it. You know, it's it's not going to. You just kind of look at these people and you go, I can't help you. I don't know.
I mean, with that type of thing, I think I'd end up standing there squinty-eyed at them going, so did you think like it was going to be impressions that I'd made of people's faces with like charcoal or something?
Like, am I going to do painting or something? What do you expect?
No. You're not going anywhere. You're going to explain yourself.
Yeah, and put something in the fucking bucket as well after you've insulted me. You know,
don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. I'll always do if nobody knows what we're talking about. So the Fringe has changed a lot over the years, but if you do the Free Festival and or even the Scottish Comedy Festival, they're a good bit different. Thoroughly recommended, Cal. We'll talk afterwards. People can come and see a show and pay. It is free, but you're encouraged to put something in the bucket as you're leaving for the time. The same show, Cal, if you went to see Cal anywhere else, it could be 10, 15, 20 pounds you could be paying for an hour-long show like that. So we're not saying that. We're realistic people, but, you know, it'd be nice to put something in the bucket for your time and to be entertained. The number of people that will not do it. Now, if you're a student and you have no money and what have you, hey, listen, keep your cash, go and buy a pint, tell someone you enjoyed it. Like that always is tend to be part of my speech at the end. But but I have stood in front of a room of 70 people and went, but don't be a prick and try and leave without putting something in that bucket. Right?
Yeah.
And by the way, if anyone tries to put in a bus ticket or a train ticket, I've had them all. I'll break your fingers. So I'm going to be out of the and I hate the speech at the end.
Oh, yeah. I kept it as quick as possible this year. I was very much a case of saying, look, this is a free show. There's no obligation, but do remember I am living in a fucking tent. So let's just let's just
living in a tent. Just gotta give him something. Give him the keys to the camper van. We have to talk about impressions. Let's chat a little bit about impressions. So it is always been a backbone of British entertainment, UK, worldwide entertainment, going all the way back to Mike Yarwood. I went down a wee Mike Yarwood wormhole like a couple of weeks ago because I was looking, you know, that way just on YouTube, you just get away. I think it was, watching one of Bob Monkhouse's final gigs, and he got Mike Yarwood to come out, and who is very much a recluse, or was a recluse up to his final days. Had been there, done it, went, this isn't for me, in a way, went, Kudos to the man for standing by. So you got Mike Yarwood. I mean, obviously in the modern era, you've got guys like Rory Bremner. You've obviously got the Dead Ringers guys. Where did the love, and you've probably been asked this question, and I know it's the equivalent of like, how did you start your career in comedy? We all get asked that question, but where did your love of impressions come about? Where it's, because it's always something that makes you go, that's cool. That's cool.
I think it's more so, not so much impressions, but definitely accents have always like really, really interested me in that, particularly in the Northeast. I think one of the main reasons why I moved up here is that someone from Newcastle talks completely differently to someone who lives in Sunderland, who's 20 minutes away on the bus.
Very true.
And they also speak completely different to someone from Ashington and Cramlington and Blythe. And these are all within an hour of each other, you know? So you go, how can they all talk completely differently? I couldn't understand it. And like, I was from Shrewsbury, as I said, and they didn't really have an accent when I was growing up. I've gone back since, and it is so strong, like really, really strong. It's developed in the last 10 years. And I just found it funny taking the mickey out of people's voices. And I was a big wrestling fan growing up. Eddie Guerrero is my favorite wrestler, still is.
Oh, yes.
He completed wrestling to me. Do you know, I just think that anything he didn't do isn't worth doing. So it's just
the Guerrero legacy sadly doesn't continue. Well, his daughter wrestled for a while, and I guess through his I was about to say his illegitimate son, if the storylines are to be believed. Dominic Mysterio is still rocking it to these days.
Can I just say as well, although I've gone off on a tangent here, if Eddie Guerrero was still about, I think it would have been the cherry on top of the cake if the storyline of Ray versus Dominic and Guerrero was involved in this. I think it would have been sensational. It would have been the best storyline going. It would just be absolutely amazing if Eddie was still about to be involved in that. It'd be sensational. But yes, I was a big fan of wrestling, and because these characters are so larger than life and things like that, you as a kid you can't help but impersonate these people. So like the Macho Man, oh yeah, cream of the crop. And then you got your Hulk Hogan's where he's like, what you gonna do when Hulkamania, the 24-inch python's brother, runs wild on you?
Oh, and you very good in the brother. Very good in the brother, if you don't mind me saying. Very good, very good.
But you can't, like, the amount of, I don't think I've ever the amount of times I've walked around, even now, with like a Vince McMahon arm swing going, yeah, fine. That you can't help but impersonate these people because they're larger than life. And like, recently I've been singing The Rock, singing about John Cena, going, Johnny Cena came to town riding on a pony. You know, it's just, I can't help but do these impressions. So that was certainly in my head. And me and my brother would impersonate different people toward to each other. My brother wasn't very good because he wasn't massively interested, but I was always linking on how to develop a voice and how to get those voices. So when I was in school, the first celebrity other than a wrestler was Tony Blair, the then Prime Minister. Wow. Because that's who people were impersonating. I was like, all right, okay, that's how you do it. So, you know, Tony he spoke in like a great sort of way. And everybody since Tony Blair has been a version of Tony Blair, really. Every single Prime Minister. And actually the Labour Party leaders have all been the same voice, really. So you got your Tony, you got a Cole that's her Billabad, you clear the Cole, you've got Keir Starmer. They're all the same voice, you know, and they're all just on a spectrum sort of thing. And what's become more difficult really in finding voices is choosing who to do. So like in your Mike Yarwood era, there were 2-3 channels, everybody watched these channels, that was it. In terms of learning a voice, a million times easier, because if I wanted, when I was learning how to do Donald Trump, for example, I can watch hours and hours and hours of Donald Trump on YouTube. Absolutely fine. And I can get those voices. But choosing who to impersonate and who to learn is a lot more difficult, because I've done some kids gigs where you try and do some impressions, and realistically, oddly, they want Boris Johnson and Donald Trump all the time. I don't know why, but they always do. In my head, you think they want to like Zoink Scoop Raggy. That's what they want, but no, they don't. They want But the next thing is they want YouTubers, and I don't watch YouTubers.
Yeah.
I don't. These are famous dickheads now, and I don't know who they are. Without sounding like an old man, it's really difficult to find who to impersonate.
If you don't swim in that world, then, you know, because I mean, I know the very popular YouTubers now are like PewDiePie and Markiplier and all these gamers, normally gamers, but there's so many more. I mean, my kids watch them all the time, and very occasionally I have to go, well, this is irritating. So I just turn this off. There's a couple. Listen, if there are any parents out there, Lanky Box can go take a run and fuck at themselves. They're the most irritating bastards I have ever. And I'm not that guy, Cal, but fuck those guys. Fuck them. But for the record, if you came on and did Justin from Lanky Box, standing ovation.
Yeah.
I'd imagine. Or by then it will have moved on to something else. So I never really appreciated that as being something that would have been an issue in Mark Yarwood's word. But then today, on the other end of it, like you say, there is such choice that it's who is considered, because but even talking about accents, one thing can be popular from one area of the country, you know, to another. I only found out that Ryan Clark, you know, the radio presenter, I had no idea he'd been on X Factor.
Yeah. That's where he got his fame. Yeah.
No idea. I thought he had been on like Big Brother or something and was just a radio presenter. Hadn't a clue. Yeah. So I would have messed up at a pub quiz. If you'd have been doing an impression and went, who's this famous X Factor finalist? I haven't a fucking first clue who that is.
But the thing is, though, name people from X Factor. Think of the hundreds of people that have been televised from X Factor. The ones that you can remember would be One Direction, Little Mix, Ollie Murs, Alexandra Burke, Leona Lewis. I can't really think of any more. There's probably
smashed it in recent times.
Probably more off the top, having a think about it. But think of the hundreds and hundreds of people that have been televised on that show, and you can't remember them. You don't know who they are. They've disappeared completely. And the ones that surprise you are like One Direction and Ollie Murs, because they didn't even win. Do you know? So it's like they just. It's so and Ollie Murs, like Joe McElderry, won X Factor.
Yes.
And he's, I don't know if he's particularly popular around the rest of the country, but certainly in the Northeast, because he's from South Shields, everybody knows who he is. But he must kick himself because he won it the year that Ollie Murs was on. And he's doing like the Customs House Theatre 400-seater while Ollie Murs is selling out the arena. And you just go, he must kick himself constantly going, I bloody won the show. How am I not doing the arenas? And I understand it's not all about money, but it is. You know,
it must make him a little bit go like, I thought that if you won, you got the golden keys. I thought if you came second place, you were killed. I thought that's what it was. You were eradicated. You weren't good enough. You were done. You were done. You were taken out the back and shot. That's
proper. Get your own back down into the slime. That's it. You're gone. Done forever. You know. That's it.
Oh my goodness. There's a reference. Get your own back. Excuse me while I have a little sip of my Horlicks. I'm planning to go for a nap this afternoon. I love that. Well, I always wonder. I never looked at it, that being your way in with accents and what have you. It was what people fixated on. I mean, you must get, like, there must be two things that I have to ask. You must get people coming up and doing their terrible impressions of people at you. Do you ever get anyone I mean, they must occasionally have just been ones where you've been like, I have not a clue who that's meant to be.
Yeah, you do. But then the ones that are really annoying are when they come up and they do have a good impression. So they have an impression that's absolutely bang on, spot on, fantastic, and they'll come up and do their impression. Usually Morgan Freeman, they'll come up and they'll do their Morgan Freeman to it. And I can't get my voice that low. I probably could over time if I decided to start chain smoking and get my voice that low. I probably could. But they'll come up and they'll start doing their Morgan Freeman, and I go, yeah, that was really good. And they go, you do it. And I went, no, I don't do Morgan Freeman. They went, oh, right, okay. See, mine's better than yours. Yeah, well, yeah, it will be. But you've just watched me do an hour of nearly 100 impressions. Like, how many of them can you do? Do you know? I'm not saying, because this is the other thing, is there are guys who can do impressions that are absolutely perfect. Like, you cannot like question it in any way. You shut your eyes, that is that person. But they're not funny. So they're completely pointless. So if you're doing a Boris Johnson impression, for example, for stage, you have to make them a bit crap. You have to you're not impersonating these people. You're making a caricature of these people. So Boris would talk like this, where most people will go, okay, great. But that's not funny. Do you know, that's more accurate than what you go, blah, 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 blah. Yes, great, brilliant. The injections are up, the infections are down. Brilliant, great. That's more funny. Do you know? So you go, okay, well, that's what you want to do. So actually learning the impression is only half the battle of doing impressions on stage. So you go, right, okay, I've got the voice right. Now, how do I make it a bit crapper to be funny? Do you know, that's kind of how you have to look at it. So it is different, but often you find that it is about learning the accent, then learning where they're from, changing the pitch, then changing where it is in your voice. So I mentioned Trump before. When I learned how to do Trump, he's a New Yorker. The easiest New Yorker to impersonate is the Joe Pesci. Bada boom, bada bing. You want to buy a hot dog? Well, where you go? I'm going to get you whacked, you know? That's the voice. That's the New York voice that everybody knows. That's the one you go for. Trump has been surrounded by media in the United States all his life. The media voice is that looking out on that Golden Gate Bridge on another sunny Saturday morning. That's the voice of all media people in America. That is what it is. So you stay with that voice and you add some Joe Pesci, you get the Donald. So, you know, it's so great. Listen, my God, you're a great guy, you know, and it's that's the way that you find these voices, you know.
Oh my God.
And,
I watched that happen in real time. That was fascinating. Oh my God.
So it is, and you find words that get you in. I used to do a bit about the presidents, how you can merge all the presidents' voices together, and how you get into different voices. So when I was learning how to do Bill Clinton's hesitant now was the way in where he'll go, well, that's how you'd get in. And you go, right, okay, that's where his voice is. So if you ever watch me and I'm repeating a particular word, that usually means it's a new impression and it's keeping me on track to where I'm going. So that's usually how it works. So it's a really interesting and really cool thing that's always fascinated me, accents. And then I realized I could do voices and impressions, and I carried on. And also Robin Williams was such a huge influence to me. And not only the fact that he could do impersonations, but he could just pull a voice out of nowhere, like absolutely nowhere. Whereas in my head, I can't just make up a voice. I can't do it. Do you know? It's just in my head. If they said, "Oh, but make up some voice," I can't do it. My brain malfunctions. But if you said to me, "Do a Birmingham accent," I could do it straight away, no problem at all. You know. But if you said, "Make up a voice," I can't do it. It's just my brain malfunctions. Whereas Robin Williams was a genius at making up voices just out of nothing, you know? And that was something I was going to say envied there, but that's not the right word. Admirable. I was very admirable of that he could do that. And I was like, God, I really wish I'd be able to do that. I can impersonate, I can do accents, I could do most voices, but just to come up with a voice of nothingness is mad, because so many people have said to me, you should do character and cartoon voices and stuff like that. But I'm useless at it. I can't do it. I'm rubbish. If you gave me a script and told me what voice you wanted, I can do that. No problem at all. Absolutely fine. But I've sat in things where I've gone, okay, we want a rabbit. Okay, how about a Jonathan Ross sort of style voice? And you go, yeah, we don't really want you to impersonate Pete. You go, well, you've got the wrong guy then. Do you know?
Right. I see you.
It's my head just can't work that out.
That's mad. Well, maybe with time, maybe it's something. Maybe there's going to be a Pixar cartoon out there somewhere with your name on it. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
We all want the Larry the Cable Guy deal, where we end up being meta. On the other side, I guess the last question I've got, particularly in regards to direct impressions, is going to be: do you ever get people coming up and going, "Do me"? Do you ever get people doing, like, people you've just met at gigs? Is that a question people have ever asked you?
Yeah, constantly.
Wow.
People go, can you impersonate? Now, the thing is I can impersonate most people, or I can certainly get there with time. You can get there. I have no doubt that I would absolutely be able to impersonate Morgan Freeman at some point once I've worked on his voice. Yes. But ultimately the celebrity world changes so quickly. There's no point wasting time on those sorts of things. What's the point in another impressionist doing another impression of Morgan Freeman? It's pointless. No need.
Yeah.
So when people say, "Oh, can you do me?" You just kind of look at them and go, "Well, I'd have to listen to your voice." And then what they don't understand is when they're talking to you and they're saying, "I'll do this," and you're going, and they're looking at you as if you're mad, and you go, "No, what I'm doing is I'm tuning." That's so you know how people play guitar, going ding, 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 and they're trying to get it right. So all I'm doing is trying to find where your voice is, and then they just look at you as if you're mad. So now I just ask them what their TV credits are, and then I'll see if they're worth impersonating.
I love it. I love a good get out clause. I love a good get out clause.
You need one, Billy. You need one. That's the problem. You need one.
I think I usually say, like, "Oh, tell us a joke." Then it's like, "Well, pay me, and I'll tell you a joke." Us professionals don't do it for free.
Exactly.
They don't need to know how much free work we do. Right. Come on, it's silly. I think Kevin Bridges always had the best bit about being a comedian. He talking about being an open spot or doing a spot to get with a promoter. There's no other job in the world where you would go and do something, drive the length of the country to do something for free, and then get told, "Nah, we're not going to bother." Away you go. It's like, fuck that.
Yeah. And it's also, I believe it was Seinfeld that said, "This is the only job in the world where on your very first day, you're a fully qualified comedian." They just say, "Yeah, you're a comedian now. You're a comedian now. That's it. You have to do it." You don't do that. He goes, "You don't do that in any other job. No other job do you do that." You go, "Well, you're a surgeon. Get cutting. Get cutting until he gets better." And you're like, "Yeah, I never thought of that. No matter how long you've been going, you're a comedian from day one now. That's it."
I still remember getting handed a business card by a comedian who I'd given his first gig literally like 3 weeks earlier. And then he went, "Oh, I'm going to give you one of these." And it was a business card. And it was like, "Get this the fuck away from me." I was so mad. Because it just said, I won't say the name of the comedian because you're still gigging now, Graham. It says, "Professional comedian." And I was like, "You know something? I admire your moxie, and I take that back. But it's like, I would have never have had the balls to go, "I better get a business card printed. I better get a business card printed."
No way. No, I have got business cards now, but it's very much for like after dinners. No one sees those cards because the after dinners, the golf club circuits and stuff like that, they are very much still in the early 20s. Do you know? They're 100 years behind when they go, "Hey, I'm going to give you a call on one of these phones, am I?" What is this email? Do I send this? Who sends this?
Telegram from Mr. Halbert. Telegram from Mr. Halbert. She's hilarious. There is so much to get to. I mean, we got to talk a little bit about Britain's Got Talent. I've worked with a couple of comedians that have gone through that process and Britain's Got Talent. And what a big, huge event. Even to this day, it's still a massive franchise, even to this day. But you went on it, and before we chatted, I was doing a little bit of research in this Britain's Got Talent wiki that I discovered, which
I knew nothing about this. Nothing.
I was just kidding. I went, "Oh, what's this?" And then I found a Robot Wars wiki that I was on, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm not." And then I went down a rabbit hole, and I found a review of a TV series that I did. A couple were really good, and then there was one from like Starburst, which fucking destroyed me.
It's mad, isn't it? Like the only time I Google my name is during the festival to see if any reviews have come out. To check the news page. And I was doing that through this year, and a thing came up that said Cal Halbert net worth, and I was like, "Whoa, this has never happened before. I don't know what this is." Clicked on. Apparently, I'm worth $1 million US, and I have no idea where that is. Someone must have taken it out of my bucket. Do you know? It's
when I was doing the breakfast show on West FM, and even still to now, when you Google, sometimes it tries to fill it in for you. So first of all, there is also a 70-year-old former footballer called Billy Kirkwood, and Cal, he is not a fan. He is not a fan of you. I want to make that very clear. He is Not a fan. The amount of shite I've sent that old man's way, and it's fine. Fair enough. Fair enough. Probably people have found him on social media. Fuck yeah. It was 70s. But you would see things like Billy Kirkwood comedian wife, Billy Kirkwood comedian net worth, and you were just like, oh my God. And I think I Googled my net worth one time, and I think it was something silly like $1 million, and it was like, if it was $1 million, I'll level with you, I wouldn't be Googling my own fucking name. I'll tell you that for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd pay someone to do that for me. But it's so weird, isn't it? It's such a weird thing to do, because also you kind of feel dirty doing it, Googling your own name. I mean, everyone has done it. I'm sorry, you're lying if you say you haven't done it. We've all done it. But you do feel dirty. But then you go, I don't care what people think. But then you start going, no, fuck you, Sandra in Devon. I was good that night. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I remember that gig and it was shit. I think you'll find you were shit, not me.
That is one thing that I had this year at the Fringe that really turned me around. So I think I would say I had a good score this year in terms of shows. I think I'm going to say, I think 9 out of 10. I think we did all right. Like the ratio was only good. Every year, without doubt, and any comedian will agree with this, you have a couple of stinkers, and it just happens. And I remember doing my solo show one day, and I wasn't enjoying it, and I don't think they were necessarily enjoying it. But they went, "Well, we've paid for the ticket, so we'll say yeah." And then in the same, so I was hosting a Pick of the Fringe in the same room straight after my show every day. So that room emptied, and then a Pick of the Fringe audience came in. But clearly people had went, oh, we'll book the show after it as well, so we could see 2 shows back to back. So a whole bunch of the same audience came back in. Then I had a belter. And it was one of those things that made me go, I sometimes forget that it isn't always about me. It can be about you sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It does. Like, I know people are going to be watching this maybe and going, you arrogant bastards. It is just the way it goes, guys. It is just the way it goes.
Absolutely. Absolutely
on those days, we weren't clicking. I wasn't clicking, but a quick change out of probably about 80% of the audience, and it was a completely different room. So if you were just to do the statistics on that, it would insinuate it wasn't me.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes that does happen, and people don't like hearing it. They really don't like hearing it. You go, sometimes you as an audience are crap. You know, absolutely. I'll hold my hands up. There are days where I'm crap. Don't get me wrong.
There are days. Don't get me wrong. I'm the first one. I'm the first one to go. Although I do go by the Sarah Millican rule, which I do enjoy, which is you only feel good or bad about a gig until 11 o'clock the next day.
Yeah, do you know what? I don't think I've ever heard that, but I do.
Sarah told me that a long time ago, and it's got me through some good ones, and it's got me through some bad ones. It's got me. There's nothing worse than going, oh my God, I died in my hole last night, and it's oh well, it's done now. Oh well, there we go. Moving on.
Yeah.
Moving on.
This is something that's always baffled me as well. For people that are outside the comedy world, like, it's a big superstition not to be paid before you go on stage.
Yes.
Like, they're always like, oh no, pay me when I come off. Pay me when I come off, because it's supposed to be bad luck. But that has always baffled me. I've kind of just gone along with it and gone, yeah, that's fine. But now I've got to a point where I'm too jaded to care. I'm just like, yeah, if you offer me money, I'm taking it now. Because even if I go on and die on my ass, even if you haven't paid me, you still have to pay me. Like, So what's the difference between now and 25 minutes time? I don't like.
I think it depends on the situation. Sometimes, like I've definitely went, oh no, I'll get it after. Or if someone has gone, oh, like, you don't want to book someone. Like, they go, oh, you always want paid afterwards, and then go, no, I'll take the money, because they might go, oh, what the fuck's going on here? Because I remember hearing the famous story of Malcolm Hardy. I think it was at Newcastle University, the student union. I don't know if you've heard this one. But basically, the guy came in before the gig and he went, right, guys, he's want paid. And Malcolm went, no, don't pay us. If you pay me, I'll fuck off. Here's your money. Blah, 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 blah. Pissed away. He went, came back, and he went, where's Malcolm? It's like, he told you. He's fucked off.
That's wonderful. That is absolutely brilliant.
Obligation completed.
Yeah.
I love that. Would I have the nerve? Would I have the nerve? I don't know.
I don't know if I would. I don't know. In my head, I'd like to go, I'd do that. But I don't think I would.
I don't like I like doing the job, even if I know I'm walking into a smack in the face. It's sometimes it's the survival thing, because I remember, I won't mention the gig by name, but it was quite a big gig, and I was supporting a much bigger comedian. But apparently, historically, the support act had always died on their arse, like every year. And I was given a litany of names. This person, and going, they're good. They are proper. They are better than me. They are good. And I remember and it was like one guy walked off after 10 minutes, and I remember thinking, right, I can do 15. Like, if that guy walks off after 10 minutes, well, his credit, then if I do 15, then I've won.
Yeah.
And that's an awful attitude to have as you're walking to a microphone.
No, not at all. Do you know what, Billy? I did a new act. There's a comedy club in Newcastle called Long Live Comedy. And it's
all right. I think I've seen it. Yeah.
It has been going for years. Like Chris Ramsey, Sarah Millican, they all did like their first gigs at Long Live. And it's been going for decades, this gig. Every Tuesday, completely free. No one gets paid. It's just new material. That's all you do. New acts, new material. 5.
Okay.
And I live really close to it. So if I've got a new bit I want to go down, I'll do it. And I messaged the guys and said, look, can I jump on? I've got 5 minutes. I want to try out this new bit. They went, yeah, it's very busy this week, but next week's quieter. And I went, well, I'll jump on next week then. Give me a bit more time and X, Y, and Z. Turned up on Tuesday. There were 15 acts on. 15 acts on. And I'm looking at it going, oh, God. And I said, well, never mind. And you pull out the hat as to when you go on.
Oh, I hate that. I don't know where that's come from. I hate that.
And like, I was very happy to go, I'll take one for the team. I'll go on first. Don't care. Like, I don't see that as taking one for the team anymore. But you just go, I'll go on first. I'll go home. It's all right. They're like, no. Let's be fair. Fucking pulled out 14th.
Oh, come on.
Of course, I pulled out 14th. I'm looking for whoever had number 1 saying, do you want to switch? You know? Yeah. Like, do you want to switch?
Yeah. Oh, no, it's the best. It's the best bet. It's the best slot. It's the best slot.
Yeah, this is the best.
You're closing.
Yeah, no one's wanting it. So I'm there going, fuck, So I'm stood there waiting. The crowd's had enough of comedy. I've had enough of comedy. We've all had enough of comedy. I get introduced on. And I think for the first time in my career, I've been a comic for about 15 years. Right. For the first time, within about 4 seconds, I just touched the mic and I nearly went, nah. I nearly just went, nah, I'm all right. I'm going to save everybody this. And just walk off. But then I didn't. And I did the 5 minutes, hated it because I wasn't doing it right. Because I was in a mood. The audience were knackered, so they weren't enjoying it. And I just went, oh, well, thanks, and left. But it was the first time where I never thought I'd ever get, because we've all heard the story of Larry David where he walked up, looked around the room and went, nah, and walked off. Right. And I was like, nah, I don't think I've ever had that. But it turns out, Long Live Comedy, I walked on, and 4 seconds in, I hadn't even said a word. I just looked at him and I thought, nah, I can't. I just don't have the strength.
I had the closest I've ever had to, I wouldn't say it was a breakdown, because it wasn't a breakdown, but it was definitely offstage Billy came on with onstage Billy, and the meeting was not what anyone expected, because it was a charity gig at a very well-known club here in Scotland, and the audience were not, and you know how charity gigs can go. You get people that turn up, they're just to support the charity, they don't even necessarily want to get involved, right? They just sit there. Or you get an audience that go, oh, this is great, this is a great night out, and they'll get really supportive. This was the former. They were flat as ice. They were flat. So please welcome, so I'm coming on after break, and I was so mad. I was so angry with them because they'd given the compere nothing, they'd given the opening act nothing, they'd given the act after the break nothing. I was coming on before the headliner. I was pissed off and hit the mic going, get in here, everyone, what's wrong? You still got the fucking shits or something? You got in a taxi, you came. It was this rally of abuse for the first 3 minutes. And just giving it, like, and I remember there's a woman in the front row went, don't fucking roll your eyes at me, you bastard. Fucking support the charity. Do the numbers. We're not saving fuck all. But from
Don't fucking roll your eyes at me.
I've just got to that part of my career where it's like, I have turned up to make you laugh, right? What an arsehole I am, right? Don't you fucking there pass judgment. Well, this isn't what you get at night at the Apollo. Go take a run and fuck it yourself with a wire brush. Right, so I kind of started. There was a bit of energy in the room because of it. I don't know why. I don't know if it was mentioning the tension of it. So I went, I'm going to go off. All right. And I'm going to get introduced back on. I expect you to go fucking mental. Right? And I will buck up my fucking ideas. But this is bang out of line. Nobody's getting paid for this. It's bang out of line. So Alpha went. And please welcome Billy Kirkwood. You've never heard such a round of applause in your life. You're like, yes! And I like to think of like, maybe sometimes it's actually just worth going, listen, we all know that this isn't going the way it should, and it ain't my fault and it ain't your fault, but if we don't work together, this is going to be fucking painful. So let's fucking go with this, man. I hate people that turn up to comedy shows with, hey, everyone laughs different. I'm not giving anyone a hard time. Everyone, like, I can't say like I slap the thigh. I watch comedy a lot like football. In the respect of like, if I was watching you on stage, like, that's it, Cal, come on, smash it, here we go, Cal. Trump's coming, just you wait, Trump's coming. Yes! You know, I'm that guy with other comedians, but we have to talk. Like, we'll finish up a little bit, and you've given us so much of your time. We're going to catch up what you've got coming up in just a little second, but we have to talk a little bit about Britain's Got Talent, because well, I've done bits and bobs of TV. That Britain's Got Talent is so immersive and kind of reaches out through the screen and kind of grabs people. I mean, they're talking about it on, they're talking about it around the water cooler on Monday morning. The clips are still living on. I mean, the clips are still, on TikTok, and things keep going. In fact, they're even getting a whole new life. How was that experience for you? Was that a fun time, or how was it for you?
I mean, we were really lucky. I went on as one half of a double act called The Mimic Men with Alfie Joey, who's an incredible human being, incredibly talented.
Do you know, me and Alfie finished our breakfast shows on the exact same day?
Did you?
The exact same day. We both wrapped up.
Had you called? Were you wearing the same thing as well?
We were
wearing the same clothes and ready?
The whole thing. We had the funeral. Let's put it this way. Radio took a big hit that day. That's all I'm going to say. Radio became a lot less funny that day. That's all I'm going to say.
Breakfast radio went down the pan that day.
But you are the Alfie. Like you said, it's even smashing it even now. A whole new life, a whole new... thing going on.
He's incredible. He's an incredibly talented human being, and I've learned so much from him. I've become a far better comic and things like that because of him. I had this idea, and I'd seen Alfie doing impressions. I always did loads of impressions, always wanted to be in a double act. If anybody's seen Alfie Joey's set and his stuff, he's very old school variety style, very friendly, light entertainer. And I thought I'll give him a message, see what he thinks. I went up to BBC Newcastle to have a chat with him, have a coffee, and we bounced some ideas around. I said, look, I've got this idea. I want to be in a double act. Do you want to be in one? This is it, X, Y, and Z. And he went, yeah, definitely. So we put this show together called The Imitation Game for Gestival, the North East Comedy Festival, for Dave and Della Haddingham. When they were running it. So we put this together, and we were putting a few clips online and things trying to promote the show, and a producer for Britain's Got Talent got in contact with us and said, will you come on the show? And we went, right, okay. And I went, well, yeah, definitely. Alfie was in the predicament of working for BBC local radio, Britain's Got Talent, ITV. He was going, I need to check with the boss. I need to check with my wife. They both went, yes, absolutely, do it. It's only going to benefit the BBC radio show. Okay, great. So we went and did it.
1 second. Said, listening, Bauer. Moving on.
So we got told, we got the call on the Tuesday, Wednesday. They said, okay, we need you down here on Sunday at the Dominion. Yeah. And we were like, right, okay. So we've got 4 days to come up with a set for them. And we were like, right, okay.
How long?
they say 2, but it's up to 5.
Right, I see.
And we're like, right, okay. So and we were like, right, okay, what should we do? And we had this idea of singing a song in different voices. And then we saw we could do this, we could do that. And then the producer said, look, we want something because we've never had a double act of impressionists. We want something that only a double act could do, not just because anyone could sing a song doing impressions. Right, okay. Me and Alfie were working these things. We wrote something. We sent it over. They went, no, not really. We wrote another thing. We sent that over. They went, no. And then we went, oh, God. And Alfie came up with the idea of the A to Z of impressions. And he went, right, okay, what we'll do is we'll do an A to Z of impressions, alternating all the way through. And then that way they can either show all of it or none of it. That's it. So that's the best way. They can't chop and change an A to Z. That's how it works. And I went, okay, great idea. We sent it down. We were saying, okay, and we did Alan Carr. He became Alan. But
He'd love that as well. He'd love that as well.
But originally it was going to be Ant and Dec. So, because that would have made sense, they hosted the show. And they went, okay, yeah, great. And Alfie was doing Ant going, welcome to Britain's Got Talent. And I would come on as Dec by going, that's right, welcome back to Britain's Got Talent. And we'd put these, and we'd do this little sketch bit right at the start. And we went, okay, brilliant. Yeah, it's going to bring the house down. We turned up on the day at the Dominion about a minute before we go on stage. They go, we don't want you to do Ant and Dec. And we went, you what? So we don't want you to do Ant and Dec. And we went, but the reason why we put Ant and Dec in, number one, they're on the show. Number two, they're a double act. You can't impersonate a double act unless you're a double act. Like, it's exactly what you wanted. And also the whole A to Z rhymed. Like, it was in like rhyming couplets all the way down, so we would remember it. And I was like, oh, right, okay. And then me and Alfie are just workshopping backstage about 30 seconds before we walked on stage as to what the first line would be. And we were like, oh, right, okay, here we go. And we went on. And we did it. We got a standing ovation. Very, very happy. Brilliant. All the way through from where we did A. Alan Carr, B. Brucey. Nice to see you. Nice to you do well. C. was Connolly. D. Sir Evan Attenborough. E. Chris Eubank. F. was Funny Man. Kevin Bridges. G. Gangsters. Joe Pesci. I'm Robert De Niro. G. H. was Hello. Michael McIntyre.
Oh, my God.
I was Ian McKellen. J. Jonathan Moss. K. Kermit the Frog. L. We had to change. No, K wasn't Kermit the Frog. K was Kevin Spacey, but we had to change that since for obvious reasons.
Okay.
L was Lord Sugar, but the rhymes changed now, so it's not Lord Sugar, it's Liam Neeson. Give me back my daughter. M was Andy Murray and Natalie Cassidy. O was Obama, Pete Pasquale, Q Quick, Clarkson, R. Rob Brydon, S was Zoinks and Scooby-Doo, S. T. Chris Tarrant, U was John Team, which is John Bishop, V. Violence, Arnold Schwarzenegger, V. W. Christopher Walken, X rated Gordon Ramsay, A. Big Boy, X. Y was for Yoda, Y, X, Y's, and Z. Ziggy Stardust. So that's what we went all the way through the voices.
Very good.
And we came off, and they said backstage, no phones backstage. You're not allowed any phones backstage, no pictures, no leaks, no nothing. Ant and Dec will be there. They'll chat to you. You cannot have a picture with Ant and Dec. Like, right, okay, yeah, absolutely fine. We're stood backstage. Alfie used to be a priest. He trained to be a priest with Dec's brother, Dermot Donnelly. So Alfie very, very loosely knows Dec. He knows his brother, but he knows Dec a little bit. And Dec comes over to Alfie and starts chatting. He goes, oh, what are you doing here? And all this sort of stuff. And we're chatting away. And me and Ant are kind of stood there going, oh, you all right? Yeah, good. Oh, good to see you. They just didn't know each other, chatting away. And we stood. Dec wants a picture with us to send to his brother. So we're stood there, and we've put the picture up. You'll see the picture of me and Alfie and Ant and Dec was taken on Dec. That was on Dec's phone. So we're stood there having this picture, the producers holding the camera, and we're getting daggers behind us because people are looking at us going, we were told we're not allowed to have our phones down here. We're not allowed to have pictures with Ant and Dec and all this. And then when they take the picture, the producer goes, yeah, great. Dec walks up and takes his phone, and everyone's going, and they know Dec as well. And they've just got 4 yeses. This show's a fucking fix. I'm not having this. You know, and we're going, oh, God, this is terrible. I kind of got the idea that we weren't going through to the live shows.
Right.
Because we were asked very late in the day. It was the last week of auditions, all this sort of stuff. And me and Alf both kind of knew how TV worked. So we had this thing where we were going, I reckon they want an act of a standard that they want to kick out to cause controversy.
Yeah.
That may not be us, but I've got a feeling that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, they want to make it look like, oh, these guys are so good, but we're having to let them go. So imagine how good these guys are, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it.
Yeah, so, and you get, who knows, they may go, actually, we want them on rather than someone else. You don't know.
Yeah.
But I had that feeling. We went down to the Palladium to go and do the kick in and out and stuff, and we were kicked out. But okay, fair enough. Never mind. We didn't even know we'd been televised at this point. We didn't know. And then once we'd been kicked out, the following week we were televised. So I said to Alvin, who cares now? We've got the clip. It's got millions and millions of views now. It doesn't matter. We were kicked out. There was a newspaper campaign, bring back the Mimic Men, the Mirror, the Sun, the Daily Mail, the Express, were all going, bring back the Mimic Men. We had all this press on this. Then Good Morning Britain had us on, saying, will you come on? We sat with Piers and Susanna. They wanted us on the show, and we were chatting away. And so we kind of got the best press you possibly could that year without having to do a live show at all. So it worked out really well for us. It still gets mentioned on posters and stuff, because why wouldn't it be? But it's very much in the past. No one really remembers it anymore, unless a TikTok video comes up. You know, we might get bookings when Britain's Got Talent comes back around and people are searching videos and we pop up with an algorithm. But yeah, it's very much gone now. You know.
I get that. Every now and then you'll see a credit of yours turning up on a poster, and you'll go like, where the fuck did you pull that from?
Yeah,
exactly. On and you're like, oh my goodness. Well, listen, Cal, it has been an absolute delight. I don't think we've got to talk for this long in a green room, let alone, I think the last time we actually saw each other was, I think you were just heading back to the Fringe, and I had just arrived.
I was heading back to my tent. Yeah.
The Glasgow stand. I think so. Yeah. God, that's mad. It is mad that these things happen. But hey, listen, the show, I'm going to mispronounce your show again, so I'll let you do it in just a second. Where can we check out the solo show that's going all around, and what else have we got going up? Obviously, it's the website, but what have you got coming up, and where's the best place to check out some Cal Halbert goodness?
You can go to my website, which is calhalbert.com. You can find me on all social media platforms at Cal Halbert. The exciting thing that I do every single year, my show's called Calcholic, How Alcohol Ruined My Life. That's all on the website. The exciting thing that I love, which is completely free to everybody, that I do every single year, is an Impressions Advent Calendar, where there's a video that goes up on my Facebook page, my Instagram page, my Twitter. It goes on all my social medias, completely free. An Impressions video every single day for Advent, the Impressions Advent Calendar, completely free on all my social for you.
Oh, that's amazing. You froze there for just a second as you were saying that. I was like, is this an impression? This is an impression of Billy having crap Wi-Fi. Look, what an absolute delight. I tell you what, I'm going to pop you in the green room and I'll sign things up here. And of course, everybody, you've got to check out Cal's work. It is the best of gear, as we say here in Scotland. And I'll talk to you just in the green room in a second, Cal. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Right, that's all we got time for. One episode. We could do another part 2 and 3 of that. That was amazing. But make sure to check out all Cal's work. I said calhalbert.com. You'll be able to find everything he does from right there. We're going to be back with another episode in 2 weeks' time. Have yourself a great Halloween. And don't forget, you can head over and get yourself some gear. It helps us keep this show free for you. And it keeps us sending out our care packages to our guests and all that. So don't forget to head over to broadbeardoils.com. You can get an order before Halloween, which when this goes out will only be in 2 days' time. You can get a Bob the Zombie free sticker. I don't know if I'm selling that particularly well, but I'm popping on there. And all that's left to say is we will see you very soon. Look after yourself. And that is all from this episode of Braw Cast. Will the intro work? That's the big question we need to ask ourselves. Will the outro work? We're going to find that out together, folks.